Hi, everyone, and welcome to our masterclass this evening called Healthy Kids. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Buffy Gill. I am a nutritionist and naturopath, and I am very excited to be joined today by two of my colleagues, Gemma Somerville, who is also a nutritionist and naturopath, and Jessie Buttons, who is a parenting coach. So today we are going to teach you all about how you can support your kids from the age of 1 up to the teenage years and in a natural way. The goal for us is to encourage and inspire you to be the healer in your home without feeling overwhelmed when things come up. So if you are a mum or a dad who is navigating constant bugs, poor sleep, emotions, skin flare-ups, then really what we just want to do is support your bodies from a natural perspective to heal and look after themselves. We are going to show you in this class how you can support their immunity, their nervous system, and their overall health using simple essential oils and natural remedies that are just easy to use in everyday busy life. All three of us are mums as well, so we know exactly what it's like, and we really want you to feel empowered to look after your own family's health and feel positive and confident in that area. So I will pass over to Gemma to kick us off.
Well, welcome everyone. Thanks for coming tonight. I'm going to give us all a refresher on how the immune system works, because this is going to allow us to understand our choices and things that are going to affect our kids' immune system. It is actually interesting to know that the immune system is not just one place in our body, as we would think of like our heart and lungs. It's actually a complex network of cells, proteins, and organs that all defend the body against infection and disease. Let's consider that your child is exposed to a virus or bacteria. Say they're at kindy or school. It makes contact with the skin on their hands. Maybe they put their hand in their mouth. Now this virus is going to hit the first layer of the immune system, and it's the natural barriers of the body, including the skin, mucous membranes, and the respiratory tract and our gut. Because of these barriers, this virus or bacteria may never make it into the body. If the virus does manage to enter, it will encounter the first branch of the immune system. So this system is called the innate system. The innate is the first internal line of defense. Its job is to attack anything it does not recognize that enters the body. A simple summary of this is that the innate system is made up of white blood cells, such as neutrophils and killer cells, that circulate our bloodstream constantly on the hunt for something that doesn't belong. It's not selective, and children rely mostly on this form of immunity when they're young. If the virus gets past this stage, it will multiply, and that's when the second stage takes over, called our adaptive immune system. Adaptive immune system cells are also white blood cells, but these are T cells and B cells, and they are there to protect us further. So these ones protect us by producing antibodies specific to the virus or germ that they have encountered, and this builds an immune response, and the body attempts to clear the invading pathogen. The body stores this memory of this virus or bacteria, and these antibodies are always available for us to fight this if it enters again. Meaning the next time your child is exposed to a virus, the immune system knows exactly what to do to defeat it. This adaptive part of the immune system develops as we are exposed to more and more germs and pathogens. Babies are born with very little adaptive immunity. Therefore, the main reasons children are particularly sick when they're young is that they are actually building this immune system as it's developing over time. In summary, your child relies mostly on innate non-specific immune response until they develop a strong immune system that is more memory focused. Let's go to the next slide and we'll talk about how to support this. So let's talk a little bit about how we can spot if our child does have a healthy immune system. If they experience sickness after sickness after sickness, then there's probably something that we can do to help boost their immune system. But unlike adults, a child falling sick frequently doesn't necessarily mean that they have poor immunity. It's common for kids to catch multiple bugs, and the key is that they bounce back quickly. And let's talk about our foundations of what's going to help build our robust immune system. Now, food is our number one foundation. It provides us with nutrients such as macro and micro and nutrients for the kids to grow and develop, and also supports how our immune response grows. So, a diet that is high in a variety of plants, proteins, and fats is important for them. Ultimately, we should obtain these nutrients from our foods, but we can sometimes supplement to support when there's deficits such as picky eating. But as a society, we are consuming more and more processed, nutrient depleted foods than ever before. Processed foods are generally high calorie, low in nutrients, have preservatives, and they are often high in sugar. And what you may not know is that sugar has been shown to affect the immune system. And the research shows that high sugar diet slows down what's called phagocytosis activity. And this is the process in which our immune cells engulfs, by engulf I mean eats and gobbles up bacteria and pathogens in our body. If we slow this down, our kids are going to be more prone to getting an illness and needing more support from the immune system to get on top of this. So a high sugar diet simply shows down this ability. There is now growing knowledge also that our gut microbiome or gut bugs play a huge role in our immune health. And what they need to be supported and can keep this going is special prebiotic fibers. And these are fibers that we as humans cannot digest. We purely have them in our diet to feed our gut bugs, which is kind of cool. So let's talk about, we'll just go back one quick bit. Let's quickly touch on how we might encourage kids to want to eat fruits and vegetables. All our fruits and vegetables have different prebiotic fibers. We want to get a variety of this. We don't just want one kind, we want a variety. And with this, we're going to get a variety of other nutrients. A really cool way that I've learned how to speak to kids of different ages is to actually describe to them that they have these gut bugs and allow them to, their gut bugs are their special pet. So that's their pet. They can name it, give it an animal. I currently have a capybara and a rabbit in my house. And what we do is we talk about what our gut bug needs. So what does our capybara need? So I might not want to eat those carrots tonight. Well, your capybara really wants those carrots. You don't want him to go hungry, right? And we have conversations like that, or we'll count through the meal and count how many things in our meal our gut bugs love. And these could be things like your carrot, your broccoli, your legumes, anything that you put in your meal. And it just gives it a nice little bit of fun, but also a reason for kids to get involved in wanting to have the carrot or the broccoli. So that's just my little take, which I think is really, really fun. And so we're going to move on now, and I'm going to hand you over to Jess.
Thanks, Gemma. I love that. So I'm going to talk to you guys about essential oils and why they work and why they're amazing. So what are essential oils? Essential oils are pure plant extracts, and they are 50 to 70 times more powerful than herbs. So you can see a little picture down the bottom there of a peppermint leaf. So if you were to go outside to your mint plant and rub that peppermint leaf, underneath you would find all these little oil sacs, and that's where the oil comes from. So essential oils are nature's defense mechanism for plants. And so when we use them on ourselves and our children, it can help to defend us and support our bodies, defend us from sickness and to support our bodies through sickness. They have been used throughout history for many, many years. They are highly, highly concentrated. So if you have, for example, peppermint, and you were to put 1 drop of peppermint on your hand, that is equivalent to 28 cups of peppermint tea. So they are very, very highly concentrated, very, very strong. The oils we are talking about tonight are obviously doTERRA essential oils. They are 100% pure and they are safe. They are safe for babies and they are safe right through the ages to elderly people as well. So why do oils work? And this is something that I personally went into the trenches of science to find out. Because when I first started using oils, I didn't really expect them to work as well as they did. And when they did, I needed to know why. Why have these worked? So our bodies are made up of hundreds and hundreds of cells. So if you can imagine here, this is a cell. Around our cells, we have oily membranes, right? The oily membrane's job is to keep the good stuff in and the bad stuff out. When our cells grow bacteria, so when we have a bacteria infection, it grows on the outside of our cells. And when we have a virus, viruses duplicate on the inside of our cells, right? So when we have a bacteria infection and we think, I'm going to have to go to the doctor, my child has a strep throat or some sort of bacteria infection, ear infection, the doctor will give them normally antibiotics to kill the bacteria infection. And antibiotics are water-based. They can kill the bacteria infection. Now, if your child has a virus, a cold or a flu or any sort of other viral thing, viruses duplicate on the inside of our cells, remember? So the doctor will say, go home, rest, keep fluids up. Why won't the doctor give your child antibiotics for a virus? It's because antibiotics are water-based and they can't cross over the oily membrane of our cells into the cell to stop the duplication of a virus. Very sciencey. I hope that made sense. But when I learned that, I was just like, that is incredible. That is amazing. I always wondered why, you go to the doctor, you're so sick, and they say, just go home, just rest, and that sort of thing. So that is why oils work. So did you know that oils enter the olfactory system within 5 to 20 seconds? I just think that's incredible, that we could just smell an oil and it can affect us in our bodies. So let's move on to how do we use oils? So there's three different ways that we can use oils. Aromatically, as I just said, you can open the bottle, smell it out of the bottle. You can put a drop in your hand, rub it on your hand, smell it. You could put a drop on your child's collar, or you could use a diffuser. So inhaling is the fastest way to affect your body. Topically is the second way we can use oils. Now, when we're using oils with children, you'll want to use a carrier oil, like fractionated coconut. This is like the coconut oil you would use in the kitchen, but it's fractionated, which means it's had the fat removed. It is odorless, colorless, and actually very, very good for our skin. So that's fractionated coconut oil. So topically, you would use oils. We have a dilution guide there. So as you can see there, you only really need 1 drop. So for example, this is a 10 ml roller. So for a child, you need 1 drop of essential oils, and the rest is fractionated coconut oils. Very, very, very diluted. So that's topically, and then orally, we don't recommend orally for children. However, you can safely add doTERRA oils into food, such as lemon in your hummus, or you can try the On Guard apples recipe, which my children love. Cut up an apple, put it into some water, put 1 drop of On Guard, swirl it around, rinse the water out, and then you've got your On Guard apples. It's like a cinnamony taste. Yeah, that's it for that slide.
So next we're going to talk about different ailments that affect our kids. And the idea here is to give you an overview of these ailments and what you can do at home to support. So we're going to touch on fevers first. So fevers, we need to remember that it's actually a sign the immune system is doing its thing. The body wants to heat itself up when there is an invading pathogen to kill that pathogen, because it won't be able to survive in the elevated heat. So we want to be able to use things to support this instead of completely suppress it. So when we take our Nurofen or Panadol, we do suppress the fever, which has been shown in some research when taken early on in a sickness can lengthen the sickness. So if we try and not suppress it earlier on, we can support that to have a shorter period of time. So we can use things at home we can use things that you may have heard of, like a wet sock treatment. And this is where we wet a sock, we wring it out so you don't want it dripping with water, pop it on, and then pop another set of dry socks over the top and pop the child to bed. And what that does is draw the heat through the body and down to the feet. So it helps get rid of some of the congestion that can result from fevers in the upper body, and also just bring down their temperature in a very natural way. So we want to really, when kids have fevers, we want to use distraction, because often you can feel a bit yucky from your fever, but you may not be in pain. So if they're not in pain, we want to distract them. We want to keep up with fluids. We want to get light clothing, and we want to monitor their hydration is key. So kids, especially when they're younger, can become dehydrated very, very quickly. I can vouch for this. I've had a 6-month-old end up in hospital where 1 minute I thought she was fine, she was still drinking. Next morning, she's not okay. So it can happen really quickly. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on your nappies. If they're still in nappies, make sure they're drinking, and just call your GP or your care person if you have any concerns. So other really cool things we can do is we can lean on these oils that we're learning about. And a really cool oil for this is actually lavender. So lavender is going to be very calming and very soothing for them. We can also put a little bit of frankincense, which is a really high anti-inflammatory and really supports any infections that are going on in the body. Peppermint, as you probably already know, is very cooling. We know that fresh, crisp smell of the menthol, and it has a very cooling effect on the skin. We just want to be a little bit careful in our younger kids. We don't want that too strong. And the best place to apply these is actually for the kids is down the spine and on the soles of the feet. So that's where you want to apply it. And just like Jessie spoke about before, we want to use our dilutions to the age that's appropriate for our kids. So next we're going to talk about how we might use essential oils to support our immune system. Okay. So what we can do is when our immune system is doing its thing, we can see changes if we're monitoring our kids. We might see lower energy, a little bit of snuffles, the first signs of a scratchy throat, or we might just think they're a little bit off. The behavior's not right. Maybe the emotions are very high when you wouldn't normally expect that from your child. And these are all indications that possibly your kid is fighting and brewing, and there's something brewing under the surface. So the first things we want to do is slow things down, focus on having some rest, make sure we do get them out in the sunshine. You know, sunshine and gentle movement is very important when we're recovering and going through illness, just as much as rest. We can diffuse things like oils, as we spoke about. Best way to get it is to diffusion, so breathe it in through the nose. This is really great when you think they're getting a bit sick. We can pop on something that my most favorite doTERRA blend, which is called On Guard. And this one we can just pop it on and diffuse it in the house. The kids can go about their business, play with their toys, do their homework, whatever they're doing, and they're actually absorbing it, breathing it in, and it's going to be stimulating and supporting their immune system. It's really great to grab this at the first sign, because with natural medicines, during the earlier we get going with them, the more effective they are. They're always going to be helpful through this, but they're more effective the earlier we get onto it. So On Guard blend is a blend of wild orange, clove, cinnamon, eucalyptus, and rosemary. And it is absolutely packed with antimicrobial activity. It supports our immune system. It helps to circulate and warm the body in a gentle way. And this is going to also help with, if we diffuse it, it's going to help kind of cleanse the air in the area and reduce exposure to pathogens. I really like to use this also because I'm protecting myself from any bugs that might be starting to try and go around the household. We might also use this on our kids and run it down the side of the necks before they go to school. If we know there's different bugs going around their classrooms, they're going to be breathing this in, absorbing it through the skin, and it's going to be supporting them in that way. So what we've done is we've also done, if you look on the box, there's what's called a flume recipe. and that stands for frankincense, lemon, oregano, on guard, and tea tree. Now, this is an amazing immune support that we can all take, kids and adults, as we see fit when we're getting sick. But for kids, we advise this to go on the soles of the feet and the spine. The reason we keep coming back with soles of the feet is A, it's less likely to cause any irritation, but also we actually absorb more through the skin on our feet than say our arms or our chest. So it's highly absorbable area, and so it's going to support them. Next, we're going to move on and touch on sore throats and earaches. So, as we mentioned before, like sore throats and earaches are incredibly common for our young kids. They are almost part and parcel of being kids, especially earaches. And this is because the eustachian tubes are actually smaller and not completely developed. So when we get mucus and build up or inflammation in that area, you're going to get the pain from the swelling. So earaches are actually part of, in a way, growing up. But what happens is we don't want them to become incredibly regular, and we also don't want to end up down the antibiotic track. So antibiotics were very given very commonly for earaches. There's a big shift now where they're not given as commonly because most earaches are actually viral. And what we don't want to see is any secondary infection that then ends up down the antibiotic use if we need to. So they do resolve on their own. We don't often need antibiotics. And what we want to do is pain is the main issue. And this is pain through the eardrum. So we want to give them Panadol and ibuprofen if they need it, if it's very painful. If they have fevers with it, try and support and distract, as we've talked before. And then we want to be able to support the movement through of this thing. So what I really recommend for earaches is lavender and tea tree. So lavender and tea tree can be put in a roller and rolled down there and down the jawline. If you have a particularly sore one or you have a child that will sit still, you can put them on a cotton wool and just place it over the opening of the ear. We don't recommend you put essential oils directly into the ear. That's not always safe. You need to do that under direct supervision. And what that does, if you can get them to sit there, maybe give them a distraction for a period of time, you're going to diffuse and it's going to be very close to the eardrum, so it allows it to cross over. Another great oil for this is Easy Air, and as we talked about, On Guard. So what we want to do is if there's inflammation and pressure in these eustachian tubes in the canals, we want to make sure that we are able to expel any mucus. Maybe we have an earache that's come about from being very snuffly, having a lot of mucus. So Easy Air is our #1 top oil blend for clearing the airways and supporting breathing. So Easy Air and On Guard together in a diffuser smell amazing. When my kids are sick, they have sore throats or earaches, I actually like to put both of them in overnight. So they're breathing it in overnight, they're resting, their body's allowing to do this thing, and it's really supportive. If you have a diffuser that have a 5-minute interval setting, I recommend doing that. It's going to turn on for 5 minutes, the child's going to get a hit of the oils, and it's going to have a rest, and it's going to allow the diffuser to run all night long to support their recovery. So with sore throats, we can have a lot of refusers. So we want to make sure we've got soft foods, basically comfort. Sore throats are very aggravating. We all know what it feels like to have a sore throat. It's really unpleasant. For sore throats, I'm going to give a couple of really cool Haka Herbal and Kiwi Herb recommendations. So we have the Haka Herbal's Children's Throat Spray, which is for 5 to 12-year-olds, and that's because it contains propolis, so that's not appropriate for our really younger kids. And this one is great because it is a really sweet flavor and it sticks to the back of the throat and helps soothe the throat. Also, if we are really stuffed up, or we have children that are kind of prone to really congestion a lot and a lot of runny nose, really stuffy, highly recommend Kiwi Herb D Stuff. And this has a blend of echinacea, elderflower and ribwort. And all of these herbs are really good for the immune system and clearing that congestion. If we can keep on top of that congestion, we're less likely to end up down the sore throat and earache area. So these are a nice starting place. Now I'm going to hand back over to Buffy.
So let's chat about skin. So we're going to talk about a few things you can use to support children's skin, and also with things that come up like insect bites. Just know that our skin is a detox and communication organ. It's often linked to our immune system and our gut. And so what we want to do with skin is support and soothe rather than suppress, as we have with the other conditions, and really looking at what's the root cause. Why is the skin flaring up like that? Is there something we can do internally that would support the skin condition rather than just putting a cream on top? When we are putting things on topically with kids, we always want to dilute, so follow those age guidelines that we shared with you before, and a few tools that you can have on hand for itchy skin, angry skin, psoriasis, eczema, rashes, insect bites is oat baths. So putting some oats in an old sock and tying it up and putting that in the bath, and the oats themselves, really, really cheap option, are really soothing for multiple different skin concerns. You could even use this if the kids are really badly sunburnt, for example.
Mm.
Encouraging your kids to be wearing loose cotton clothing, trying to avoid synthetic fabrics can also really help with kids that have aggressive skin conditions, especially really extreme eczema. And avoid fragrance products. So unfortunately, the majority of the products that you buy from the supermarket for adults and for children include fragrance, as well as the host of other chemicals, petrochemicals, synthetic ingredients, which really will flare up the skin as well as be absorbed into the bloodstream of the child, causing other issues. So we just want to avoid anything with fragrance and anything with synthetics. So really always opting for natural products, or making your own, like we do with our essential oils. The other thing to monitor is things like food and environment. There can be things that will trigger. So dairy, unfortunately, is often a key trigger for children and adults with skin conditions like psoriasis. So it can be helpful just to go for a period for 4 weeks without dairy and see how your child responds. And then you'll know if that is indeed a trigger for them. With insects, insect bites, this is the body reacting again to protect and heal. So that swelling and itching that you see, that's actually the immune response coming in around that area. And so we want to support that inflammatory response, it's a healthy response, and just focus on soothing and reducing irritation. Obviously, we want to avoid scratching wherever possible. Doing things like a cold compress, making up a paste with baking soda and water, and applying that on the area. Keeping nails short, and using distraction. So something else they can do with their hands, whether it be Lego or blocks or knitting for older kids. So they're doing something with their fingers, because otherwise kids just love to pick, bite, and scratch. They can't help themselves. They typically grow out of it older on, but in the meantime, we want to avoid them actually scratching their skins. So some of the key oils you can use for your skin, it's the same oils coming up again. So this is why when you're curating a set of essential oils for your family, and particularly for your children, you're typically going to find that you're going to go back to the same 8 to 10 oils all the time. Lavender, frankincense, Roman chamomile, all really, really gentle oils for children to put on the skin. Peppermint, you can use a tiny bit for cooling. For older children and for younger children, you could use something like spearmint. And then tea tree is really helpful for any sort of fungal infections, insect bites included. Few red flags to note. If a red flag is not improving after a few days, if you've got broken skin, if it's bleeding, if there's signs of infection, then that's obviously when you would want to seek further support from a GP. But the great thing is that these are all things you can do as a first line of support, and that's what we always recommend, is that you're using your natural medicine to do the heavy lifting in your home for your kids and for yourself when it comes to health, physical and mental. And then when you need to lean on conventional, that's what we've got it there for. So we're all big proponents of integrative health and using the two in conjunction. So let's chat nappy rash for those of you who've got babies. It's very common, but it's very, very treatable. You want to get it early, because if you don't treat nappy rash early, it can lead to big open lesions, bleeding. I've had this with my kids as well. So if this has happened to you, it's not don't feel guilty or bad, but we can absolutely avoid this and using completely natural products. You definitely you need to be using any sort of synthetic balms here. So frequent nappy changes are good. Having airtime, so nappy free time, not ideal in winter, but in summer, get them outside, just take the nappy off and let them run outside. Jessie and I, we're good friends, because I tried to do some nappy free time when I was at her house a number of weeks ago, and my 2-year-old boys are not yet potty trained, and they happened to do a number 2 on her carpet. So anyway, if you're doing a nappy free time, maybe outside rather than inside at your friend's mother's house. Avoiding wipes. Avoiding wipes with fragrance. You can actually make your own wipes super easy, or you can buy the water wipes from the supermarket. They're actually really good. And a nappy balm recipe, which we're going to share at the end of this presentation, which is so easy to make and a fraction of the cost of what you'll buy store-bought. You can buy fancy organic, natural nappy balms from health shops. They can be up to $30, $40 for a tiny pot. You can literally make this yourself for, in the realm of kind of $4 type thing. So definitely if you've got a baby, it's a really great way to save money early on and start making your own nappy balm. You can actually make a nappy rash blend as well. You can put a drop of lavender, a drop of Roman chamomile just in one of those 10 ml rollers that Jessie was showing you at the beginning and apply that at each change. You can also just make it up into an old glass spray bottle, a little sort of 60 ml spray bottle. I did that for quite a while and would spray the bottom of the babies. The baby's like, oh, because you're spraying it on, so they might not be the biggest fan of that, but hey, it works, and you just rub it in. Really, really cheap, really easy way. So again, coming back to our lavender, Roman chamomile, and frankincense. And if you're using reusable nappies, a great way is to wash those on hot with a little bit of white vinegar and some On Guard, the antibacterial blend that Gemma was talking about, to reduce that buildup and make sure that they're just really, really clean and sterilized. That's important for when you're putting them back on the bums. And finally, teething. So teething is a natural phase of development, but it's uncomfortable, and it kind of comes in waves. I'm going through another wave of teething with the twins at the moment, and it can affect lots of things. Sleep can cause nightmares, mood, feeding for younger babies. So we just want to focus on soothing and supporting the nervous system. We don't need to use Panadol or Pamol in this situation. We can use natural alternatives here that are really effective. So cold teethers, using a clean finger to actually massage the gum, putting a chilled wet cloth on the area. Extra cuddles always go a long way. And again, our key oils that we're using, lavender, Roman chamomile, frankincense. There's a bit of a roller recipe there, which you can add lavender, Roman chamomile, very similar to the nappy balm, so you can roll it on their chin and then roll it on the bum. No, I probably wouldn't recommend that. But these oils you're going to come back to, same oils again. Rolling that around the chin and then actually over the jaw here, because that's where a lot of the teeth are coming down. They're not just coming up, they're coming down. So I just do it like this. And you can also actually add in a tiny bit of frankincense there as well. So lavender, room count, you could add a drop of frankincense too. You can also use a chamomile tea, brew a chamomile tea, cool it, and then actually put it in a sippy cup and let them drink it throughout the day. So another really cheap and easy way to soothe teething. Or there's a slippery elm paste that you can make there as well, mixing that just with a little bit of warm water and then applying that directly to the gums.
Sore tummies. So this is my slide. I chose a slide because this is something in my household that I get on the daily. I've got a sore tummy. So I'm going to show you a few tricks that I use personally. So what's actually going on with sore tummies? More often than not, it's just a viral bug, which is very common, or constipation, gas, and just digestion issues, just something they've eaten. And as Buffy mentioned before, keeping their hands clean and their nails short is a really great preventative way. I use the doTERRA On Guard sanitizing spray a lot because I have a boy and his hands are always grubby and his nails are always, anyway, boys. So, and the other thing is that sore tummies can also be a sign of just processing stuff in terms of emotions, anxiety, overwhelm, and tiredness. So we have a blend in the top 10 oils called Digestin, and we also have a blend in the kids kit called Tamer. So what I've got the Tamer, and I've also made out of the Digestin 15 ml, so this is a pure Digestin. I've got some of these empty roller bottles. You can get these for like $1 each, and I've put literally 1 to 2 drops and filled it up. And I've got about 6 of these made. I've got in the car, in my handbag, in the kitchen. They've all got one beside their bed because in the night, when you're putting them to bed, I've got a sore tummy. And that's just a really easy, very simple thing to use. They can do it themselves. They can roll it clockwise around their tummy and kind of just give it a massage. That's kind of the way everything moves. And I tell you, it is instant. It instantly soothes. Well, they stop complaining instantly. So my children will, they're 2 and 3, and they will ask for oils, which I love because it really empowers them to find something natural to help themselves. So what's normal? Tummy bugs usually last 1 to 3 days. The main risk here is dehydration, not actually the bug itself. So prioritizing fluids and keeping them hydrated is good. I use the doTERRA MetaPower Recharge myself. I generally don't give this to my children. It's like my special drink, but when they're sick, I'm like, might put this in a big glass of water and I'll give them a straw and I'm like, you can have some of mummy's special recharge. Because generally when they are sick or they've got a bug, they don't feel like drinking, but it is really, really important, as we've said before, to keep them hydrated. When to watch more closely, any ongoing pain, like lasting more than a few days, pain in one specific spot, especially the lower right side. Obviously vomiting, you give them a drink of water and then they vomit it back up and not being able to keep any fluids down, and any other signs of dehydration. Dry lips, low energy, and not peeing. So other oils that are really good for tummy upsets, peppermint and ginger. These 2 oils are actually in the digestive blend. So doTERRA have put together a blend with 5 or 6 different oils that all support the digestive system. It is one of the top oils that I just take everywhere with me. And I mentioned how to use it before. If you've got the 15 ml, you can dilute it 1 or 2 drops with some fractionated coconut oil and massage it around their stomach. You can put it on the soles of their feet too if you want. Some practical tips there, just small tips, sips of water, a warm compress on the tummy can often help. I quite often will put a drop of Digestin or peppermint in some water and put it on like a face cloth in it, and then lay that on their tummy. It's quite cooling, just to help, get that oil in there. Definitely rest, quiet environment, and just some gentle foods when they're ready. And moving on to another one of my favorite topics, emotions. So I talk a lot about emotions in my day-to-day coaching practice as a parent coach. It comes up a lot. So if you are here and you have children, you will have emotions. So one thing I wanted to point out is that children have big emotions. And what we forget is that when you have a baby and they're crying, you tend to pick them up and say, they're there, right? We want to comfort them. But once they grow a little bit and they become a toddler and a small child, instead of there, we want to say here, right? We want them to start to process their emotions. We don't want to say, stop the emotion, stop crying, stop whinging. That big feeling you've got, stop it. We want to say here, give it to me. And this is where I just love using essential oils with my children. So my daughter has her own little kids kit. She's got a collection of oils in here. And if she has an emotion or a problem of anything, she will at 2.5 go and get her oils, and we will pick any one of them really. And she will use those herself. So I really love the fact that children can be empowered to use these and use them safely. And I know that they're pure and I know that they're safe. So connection is like air for children. They need it to survive. And when we're talking about behavior and emotions, it all comes down to connection. So I use the oils in my family to connect with my kids, to stop, have a smell, ask them what it smells like, roll it on their hands. It slows everything down and it helps us to connect, which is what they need to help them move through emotions. And sleep and emotions go hand in hand, because when they are tired, they are more emotional. And when they are sick, they need more sleep, because when they sleep is when their bodies heal themselves. So some oils that I love for emotions and sleep. Let's do emotions first. So lavender, again, lavender's coming up a lot. Very calming, great for the diffuser. I add frankincense and lavender and balance together in my diffuser for the after school kind of time. That's kind of when all the emotions come out. I generally have some oils in the car as well. I make sure I've got food in the car. So as soon as they get in the car, this is when they're like releasing all their emotions, right? This is when we get to here, give me your emotions. They keep themselves so tightly wrapped at school and kindy, and then they get into the car and they're just like letting it all out. So having some oils in the car and some food to support them. Wild orange is really uplifting, supports the mood and helps them to release emotions. For sleep, my favorites would be the lavender peace balm, the lavender peace valerian balm, and on the soles of their feet again, lavender. Cedarwood is another great calming oil for sleep. Yes, and did you know children borrow our nervous system? So I just wanted to mention that if you want your children to be calm and process their emotions, you have to be calm yourself, and you have to learn how to process your own emotions. And I have used oils to help myself regulate so that I can be regulated for my children. Thanks, girls. And here we have our beautiful recipes. So if you want to take a screenshot there, we've got the baby butt balm. Really simple, easy recipes that you can put together. The flume roller, this is a must-have on ready to go roller for definitely for the winter months. Frankincense, lemon, oregano, on guard, and tea tree. All these oils are in the top 10 kit, which we will talk about. If you don't have roller bottles, you can just put to it, a couple of drops of these in a little dish with some fractionated coconut oil. When there's sickness about or moving into the winter seasons, I do this with my children all the time, especially one of them's just started kindy. I get them to lie down on their stomach with their tops off, and I'll massage their whole backs with this blend, and then down their calf muscles and the soles of their feet as well. And there is the earache roller recipe that Gemma mentioned earlier. And then we have a few more recipes. A chest rub. So this is your natural version of Vicks Vapor Rub. And just remembering that children, their skin is so thin and can absorb anything toxic on their skin. So really have a look in your cabinets at what you're using in and around your kids. And then there's a sleepy bath salts recipe there. What I love to do is when I have an empty bottle of lavender or lavender peace, I keep it and I fill it with bath salts and I stash it away, and I give it to my kids and they get to tip it into the bath, and it's just kind of like a fun thing to do. And that's the recipes.
So we are proud to partner with a company called doTERRA, who is a natural health company that's as passionate about supporting your health as we are. And if you purchase any of their products through our QR code below, and you can just scan that with your phone, you actually unlock a complimentary membership into our natural health community called the Wellness Collective. So along with that, you get wholesale pricing, 25% off retail on anything that doTERRA have in their online store. You can get up to 30% back on every order in terms of in points, and you also get a complimentary wellness consultation and a follow-up, as well as ongoing support from one of us, so one of our practitioner team. In addition, you get access to our online and in-person masterclasses like this one, workshops and programs on how to support you and your family's health naturally. And all you have to do is make a purchase in order to join us. There's no sort of further requirement needed. So we love working with women, children and families, and dragging the odd man along for the ride too, to help support your health naturally. And we know how much benefit that you will get both physically and emotionally from using more natural remedies as opposed to conventional medicine. And as we said, let your natural medicine do the heavy lifting and have your conventional in the back pocket when you need it. The two most popular kits that we have people join our community with, the number one most popular is the Home Essentials. That's the top 10 oils, so it's all your basics. Everything we've talked about today, or the vast majority of it, that is where I would say 95% of our families start. But if you're just looking to dip your toes in the water, then the other option you can do is a small set with 5 of the top oils, and then you can just add to your collection and get the other 5 oils over over time. So either of those options work. Both options, you get free shipping anywhere in New Zealand and Australia, plus all of the benefits above, including the wellness consult, the follow-ups, and all of the access to all of our resources. So we really believe that every woman, every family deserves to be informed and in control and excited about your health. And our mission is to empower you to use these trusted tools, which are rooted in science and nature, so you can thrive with vitality and your children thrive no matter what stage of your life you're in. So we hope you will join us. We do have a few beautiful children's-based rollers, little touch rollers. I'm going to show you one now called Thinker. So this is a custom-made blend designed specifically for children to help them with focus, concentration, really great for scattic, manic, strong personalities, ADHD types personalities. And you know what? If you're feeling a little scattered too, mama, you can use it yourself.
Oh, I like Thinker when I work.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
But it's brilliant for kids, really safe for kids, and it's pre-diluted. So we have a handful of these to give away. So if you're not yet part of our community, the Wellness Collective, and you would like to join, then scan that QR code, go through and make your purchase, and we will send one of these on its way to you. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed it, and any questions, just let us know. We look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.